First, I want to thank everybody for coming. Obviously, this is a very popular subject. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Dr. Bob DeMaria. I do live in Pelican Marsh. We lived here off and on since 2013, but my wife and I both are full-time now. My wife is one of the facilitators for the Bible study. So sometimes I happen to be Debbie's husband, and on the other hand, sometimes she's my wife. But we've been together we've married 50 years in August. Thank you. And as you see, I practiced for 48 years. My son runs the northern office. I'm down here part-time, about 6 to 8 days a month, just to have my own man cave. I do consultations with people throughout the country. So we have a lot to talk about today, and you can see that this is going to be a very exciting subject. And what I like to start with is some of this information is so very important that I want to read bullet points to you because I don't want to miss this, okay? It's about longevity, and longevity is a journey. And the whole purpose of today is we're going to be talking about various systems in your body that break down, that can interrupt your natural healing process. So let me read this to you. I love this. So longevity is shaped quietly, predictably, by daily inputs that influence inflammation, blood sugar, hormones, circulation, detoxification, and the nervous system. Most people think aging happens to them. So purpose of today is if I could rearrange your thinking. Clinically, we see that aging accumulates through daily habits, good or bad, long before the disease is diagnosed. So if somebody comes into my office and I have conversation with them, I can pretty much get an idea where they are going. Every day the body is either, this is really important, repairing and or renewing tissue. Small daily choices. So today I'm not going to tell you anything magic, but I'm going to give you a lot of really good physiology points. Hydration, movement, food timing, sleep quality, stress response, intracellular repair, hormone signaling, metabolic efficiency. This goes on over years and years and years. It doesn't just happen to you immediately. Aging accelerates, this is really very important, when repair systems are overwhelmed. Longevity improves when repair outpaces damage. The balance is strongly, it's habit-driven. So being in Pelican Marsh, I can tell you I know who rides their bike and who walks because I ride my bike every day. And there's groups of people that I know are very active. Congratulations. And I'm sure there are people in the gym. We actually work out at our own home. That's good. So this is another very profound statement. These are not lifestyle suggestions. They are biologic requirements. Even mild dehydration, that is not enough water, can cause your blood to get thick. And there is a blood test, and you look at your own blood test. I'll share with you, if your albumin is elevated in your blood test, it pretty much means that you're dehydrated. Another interesting point. Muscle is not cosmetic. It's a longevity issue because you need to have muscles to burn the extra glucose. Let me tell you straight. The most evil thing that you could do is eat sugar. And we could leave with that right now because sugar causes inflammation in the body. Now, something else that's really important is sunlight because sunlight creates more than just vitamin D. It impacts your sleep rhythm, hormone timing, even your mood. I know when we lived in the north between, like, say, August 15th through January or February, people had more issues with mood, depressed, not enough sunshine. And if that happens to be here now, even in sunny Florida, there's something that I encourage our patients to use called phosphatidylcholine. Phosphatidylcholine. You can spell that phonetically amazing what that does with the seasonal affect disorder. Most chronic disease does not appear suddenly. It develops silently over years. So that's the base of everything that I'm going to talk about now. And I think you're going to really enjoy this. Okay, so we're going to talk about systems. So each one of you could have a challenge in your body, and you might go to your physician. And listen, this is not about leaving your physician. This is about learning, and you're going to take engaging steps. So there are organ systems that we're going to talk about. So you could have a muscle tone issue because you have poor digestion. And you have poor digestion because you maybe have made some inappropriate choices. So we're going to talk about hair, sleep, your gut, metabolic glucose, spine mobility, and longevity. Now, this is, and I'm not trying to overwhelm you, this is not a college class, but this is it in a nutshell. Blood sugar, insulin, impacts fat storage. It determines your liver. And I'm going to talk to you about the liver because the liver is an important organ and how we go about testing the liver. Hair. Probably the biggest thing that brings so many people into the office is thinning hair. Hair is a sign that your body is going through a stressful period. And there's a lot of reasons that you could have hair loss. Hair is very quick. Has a fast metabolism. Big point. I don't chase symptoms. We restore systems. So the body does the work. You're going to see how significant the nervous system is. Probably one of the biggest challenges that we have today is face time and screen time and computer time. How many people do you see walking around like this that are kids and their shoulders are round? I'm going to show you how their spinal cord is getting squeezed. If I had to share anything with you that's probably the most important, it's right here. It's the gut. It's making sure you're digesting your food. Because you can eat food, but you might not be digesting and absorbing the food properly. Okay, so let's just talk about hair. Hair thinning. It is definitely a metabolic breakdown. You're having, and I'll just read some of this to you, cold hands and cold feet. If you have cold hands and cold feet and your hair's thinning, it's probably because you have a low thyroid gland. Dry skin and brittle nails, you also don't have probably enough protein in your body. But I think something is really important, so I'm going to give you some news that you maybe have never heard before. Ferritin. I'm not sure how many of you have ever heard of ferritin unless you're in a biology class or a chem major. Ferritin is stored iron. You can have hair loss because you don't have enough ferritin. Ferritin is important for the conversion of T4 to T3, which I'll keep that simple. It's a thyroid hormone. So that's really critically important. And something I'm going to talk a lot about today is nitric oxide. I'm not sure if you've heard of nitric oxide. They advertise it a lot on TV that you can buy the little beet gels. But nitric oxide, when you leave this room today, you could go to Amazon and you could buy nitric oxide strips and see how your nitric oxide is, because nitric oxide delivers oxygen to your cells and to your blood vessels. If you don't have enough nitric oxide, you're going to have stiff blood vessels. Protein is really important for it. So if your thyroid gland is not functioning optimally, you're going to have a low thyroid. Go home today, and I want you to look at your labs and check your ferritin level. If your ferritin level is maybe 40 or less, you have a greater chance to have hair loss potential. Hair also has a lot to do with your digestion. Now, this is a very interesting slide because what I want you to see is you absorb iron. Probably, in my experience, one of the best foods to absorb iron for plant eaters is spinach. My wife and I, we have our spinach comes from the north. We work with a company called Chef's Garden. If we eat too much spinach, our ferritin will go up. Now, I don't know what the spinach is like down here in Florida, or like you buy from Whole Foods, but if you get a real good source of spinach, you could really increase your ferritin. So let's go over here. You have to have absorption. And so what happens is, inside of the liver, we have the iron. It becomes over here to transferrin and ferritin, and this is what I want you to see right here. If you have low ferritin, you're going to have a lower T3. So T3 is the active form of thyroid hormone. So when you ever get your blood tested, you always want to make sure that you have your free T3. You might want to write this down because a lot of the medical community only does a TSH. You want to know what your free T3 is, or something called triiodothyronine, but you could do your own search on T3. So what I need to also get is that there's a phase right in here, and we have to make sure we have enough ferritin so your thyroid can work properly. The ferritin is going to give energy to those hair cells. So this is a little bit more of a schematic, and I really thought that most of you would like to know a little bit about hair because I have so many people that have thinning hair, and it can be an issue. So dietary iron must be properly digested and absorbed. Iron is transported. The liver converts iron into ferritin. Adequate ferritin is important for thyroid. Low thyroid means you have reduced oxygen. Key point. Reduced ferritin, low oxygen. So if you look at your ferritin on your lab test and you don't have enough energy, it could be that you don't have enough stored ferritin. The result is diffuse thinning hair, poor regrowth. Clinical principle. Hair loss reflects system failure. It's not a scalp problem. Correction requires restoring digestion, protein, liver, and the thyroid. We don't chase symptoms. We restore the body. So the body does the work. Isn't that kind of cool? And you can look at that whole big picture of what's going on inside of a person. Now, let me just talk to you about ferritin and where you get it, because you really want to make sure you're eating. I think a big issue that most people have is that they're not eating the right kind of food. You know, it's been attributed to Hippocrates, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. So I'm going to give you a lot of tips today that are going to be significant. So your serum iron, the serum iron right here, it's influenced by recent meals and supplement and inflammation. It can appear normal or even high when the stores are low. Clinical insight. You could have normal serum iron and low ferritin. Let's go over to ferritin. It reflects long-term iron. This is some key points I want to make to you right now. It impacts oxygen, thyroid hormone conversion, hair growth, bone function, immune. Ferritin is money in the bank. Poor digestion, low protein, low ferritin. And we're going to talk about digestion and how you can improve it. The iron has to be digested. So these are sources of iron. I happen to have a combination of both plant and animal tissue. This right here is a direct source of iron that goes in your body. I can tell you that here I have a lot of plant eaters in my practice that unless you have really good digestion, I see a lot of our plant eaters, vegans and vegetarians, have more health issues when it comes to their blood vessels and when it comes to circulation. So I just wanted to give you some ideas of food. Spinach is right up there. Quinoa, I'm not sure how many of you use quinoa. You're better off eating quinoa than you are rice, because rice is going to throw your blood sugar off. And by the way, quinoa, you know, it is in the spinach family. Quinoa is in the spinach family. And I can tell you right here, beets, my wife and I eat beets every day of our life. Beets are probably one of the most significant foods you can eat. It'll increase nitric oxide. The issue for some of you could have some kidney stone challenges. So a lot of things I'm sharing with you is what I see in the practice. Everybody is individual. So what I might say to one person might not necessarily be the best for others. And it's, you know, spinach can throw people off too. And you know what? You're hearing more. Eggs are not the evil one. You know, for so many years people were eating egg beaters and they weren't eating eggs. organic eggs are best. Organic eggs. And there's a big difference between what the egg yolk looks like. Personally, from my own point of view, I don't think eating liver is necessarily the best, just because it could be quite toxic. It is the major detoxifier in the body. We get our omega oils that we use in our practice from sardine and anchovy oil. I know it says grass-fed beef here, but I prefer organic beef. I mean, sometimes it's impossible to have everything organic. If most of the time that you're watching everything you're putting in your body, organic would be the best. Okay, so I'm going to take it to a whole nother level. That's how important this is. So, red meat, liver, poultry. It's highly absorbable. Why it matters. Heme source builds iron, improves oxygen. I just really can't emphasize this enough. A lot of you could be tired because you don't have enough stored iron in your body, and that iron's helping to make red blood cells. It's very important for brain health also. So then we have the non-heme sources. This is a key here. I'm going to give you some statistics later on how you can check your own digestion, but if you don't have good digestion, you could eat these foods and it's not going to be impacted and it's not going to be absorbed in your body. I can tell you that grains, coffee, tea, inflammation can block the absorption of the non-heme iron. So if you're going to be eating anything, you're going to want to maybe consider doing some animal tissue, and if you want to be pure vegan or vegetarian, just be aware of what I just said right here. Okay, so let's talk about hair loss, because hair loss happens a lot of times after somebody has gone through something quite traumatic. But I can tell you, I've been practicing almost for 50 years, and 50 years ago, people had a lot of hair in their head. I'm not saying that people, but have you noticed how many young men today don't have hair? And I think a lot of it is because of their enormous stress, real or perceived, but it definitely is a stress issue. So I just want to kind of go over this for you ladies, because I know this is definitely an issue for so many. And I know that protein has a lot to do with strong hair growth. Okay, so hair thinning. There's a diversion of nutrients. So your body doesn't need hair. If your body's in an emergency, it's going to take reserves that are going for the hair to support other body functions. So if you're starting to notice that your hair is thinning, you're going to have to evaluate, what exactly is going on in your life. So this was, I thought, an important point for everybody. If you have shedding, the follicle exit growth phase is happening. So if you're starting to have shedding, you have to really go back and evaluate. Because I have some patients that come into the office and they get done drying their hair and there's more hair on the floor. If you're at that state, you could have a digestive issue, you could have a ferritin, this is another point here. Slower regrowth, you have reduced protein, iron, and iodine. You need iodine for your thyroid gland. If it's a diffuse loss, not patchy, your body is definitely in a major breakdown. So collagen protein is really important. Hair is protein. In our practice, we use a hydrolyzed collagen, and I've seen people's hair loss totally turn around when they started adding hydrolyzed collagen to their life. I usually do about 2 scoops every other day in water. And I wanted you to see this too. Stress raises cortisol. So when you have stress causes so much of an issue in our bodies today. Stress causes a shifting of nutrients. Cortisol cannibalizes protein and minerals. You say, what do you mean, Dr. Bob? When you're under stress, your body secretes cortisol and starts eating muscle. So if your muscles aren't the same as what they used to be and you've been underneath a lot of stress, I would strongly encourage you to increase your protein, make sure you have enough digestive enzymes. Hair follicles, the anagen is the growth phase, the telogen is resting, reduce oxygen and nutrient delivery to the scalp, that's what happens, and then you have regrowth that slowly is decreased. So you really want to make sure that you have enough protein in your body. So then let's talk about men for a minute. Men, when they have elevated cortisol, you're going to have reduced testosterone. You're going to have more DHT, which increases hair thinning. We'll talk about oxidative stress along the way. These are free radicals. We're going to talk a lot about nitric oxide. So just eating beets alone could help your hair growth. Isn't that amazing? Because you're increasing nitric oxide, which increases oxygen to your scalp. Stress can trigger hair loss. Hair is highly testosterone, low zinc, and I'm going to give you a test that you can do yourselves to see how your zinc is doing. DHT builds up binding follicles, increased heart rate, and constricted blood vessels when you have stress. And I think a lot of high blood pressure issues today are directly related to stress. It's what we call a sympathetic nervous system response, and I'm going to give you some tools. It's called the vagal exercises that will help that. Chronic stress impacts men and women, high-performance jobs. Stress is frequently internalized in men because men don't like to talk. I have a lot of male patients. I think they like to come to see me because I listen to them. Just throwing that out there. You know, it was kind of funny. I live on the 13th fairway, and I watch these guys. They come up in their carts, and they get out, and they hit the ball, and they get back in the cart, and they drive away. So I was with a friend the other day, and I said, so, like, he golfs a lot. Actually, he's golfing right now. I said, like, what do you talk about when you're golfing? He goes, we don't talk. I said, you don't talk? Now, I'm not saying that's everybody, but these guys get in and out, and they're watching. It's kind of interesting. Okay, so this is a nice little tool that you could do. So let's say you have cold hands and cold feet, which a lot of people have. You can get a thermometer, put it in your armpit when you first wake up in the morning, let it sit there for 3 or 4 minutes. The temperature should be 97.8. If it's less than 97.8, you may consider having some thyroid testing done. That's really important for you. Okay, so right here, 97.8, that's the wrong number, but you can get one of these thermometers right here. First thing in the morning, you wake up, put the thermometer in your armpit, and the way you go. You want to have a TSH, a T3, and a T4. I'll say that again. A TSH, a T3, and a T4 when you get your blood tested for your thyroid gland. Okay, so I have an interesting tool in my office. It's an infrared thermographic camera, and I can take pictures of people's hands and feet. We do this for our neuropathy patients, but what I wanted you to see, this is how important thyroid function is and or peripheral neuropathy. I have seen this, and I've seen it change. You can say, so what exactly is happening? There's reduced blood flow. Some of you maybe have a condition that you heard of called Raynaud's. Raynaud's is lack of blood flow, usually to the fingers, for a lot of different reasons, common with a low thyroid. Low thyroid body signals include cold hands, cold feet, high cholesterol, fatigue, depression, constipation. I'll say those again. Cold hands, cold feet, actually thinning hair, thinning eyebrows, wake up with a headache in the morning, high cholesterol, depression. Those are all body signals for a low thyroid. Do you know it's estimated 1/3 of the world has a low thyroid gland? Cold hands, cold feet, very common in our society today. Okay, we're going to switch gears now. We're going to go to sleep and stress. Sleep is probably the most important thing that all of you need. You should be in bed by 10 o'clock at night. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but that's when you should be in bed by 10. Those hours between 10 and midnight is when your body does repair. Your body does tissue repair at that time. We'll talk about cortisol. We're going to talk about what happens, but you see this right here, noise sensitivity? If you're sensitive to noise, if you hear your refrigerator humming, if you're places and you hear people or chewing gum, that's like really irritating. If you have a noise sensitivity, if mosquitoes like you, so I'm going to have a little side note here. You know, when I first moved to Florida back in 2013, we had little bugs in our garage. I don't know what they're doing out there, but you don't see too many bugs around here. So if mosquitoes like you, if you cry easy, It could be male and female. So gentlemen, if your mate is crying easy, chances are it could be a B vitamin need. And if you have sore muscles after exercise, it's a sign that you need B vitamins. And I'm going to show you on a blood test that you can evaluate your own blood test to see what's going on. So let's just kind of talk about this here for a minute. Because I know a lot of you have sleep challenges. And lack of sleep, read the statement right here. Poor cortisol rhythm, accelerated aging, poor sleep, poor repair. Cortisol should be here high, and then it comes down. So cortisol peaks in the morning, gradual decline as the day goes on, elevated or flat at night, prevents deep restorative sleep. Night waking reflects hormonal, metabolic stress, and it's not necessarily always insomnia. So I learned something from my ladies that were coming in the office that were wearing Fitbits. Fitbits were before Apple Watches. So I was having some ladies come in, and they were talking about having hot flashes. So I noticed they had a Fitbit, and I said, so what time did you have it? 3 a.m. So do you want to know what happens at 3 a.m.? Blood sugar drops. So if any of you are getting hormonal hot flashes, here's the secret. You ready? The golden nugget. I have more golden nuggets, by the way. A spoonful of almond butter before you go to bed. That'll stabilize your blood sugar. Or eat a few walnuts, because your blood sugar is dropping at 3 o'clock in the morning. So if you have an Apple Watch and you get hot flashes, see what time you have your hot flash, okay? So this is good stuff right here. Sleep is primary time in your body repairs, regulates hormones, stabilizes blood sugar, and clears metabolic waste. Chronic sleep disruption accelerates biologic aging. Very, very important. I have people ask me what kind of pillow I use. I just use a pillow. I mean, everybody has different, I just use a feather pillow. There's a big business today with just pillows. I couldn't tell you the right pillow to use. I like a firm mattress. But you know what's really important? No light should be on in your bedroom, because that's going to cause hormonal release, activating your body. You want no lights on in your bedroom. When my wife and I go to a hotel room, it's black tape. I cover all the little lights with black tape, because you're going to get an irritating sleep if you don't do that. Now, if you go to bed at 10 and you wake up at 11 or about an hour later, you need B vitamins. Guess what takes B vitamins out of the body? Sugar and stress. Sugar and stress takes B vitamins out of the body. So if you go to bed at 10 and you're waking up an hour later, it could be that you have B vitamin need. If you wake up at 1 o'clock, it could be liver stress, but something else. I didn't want to put this on the slide. I have a microscope in my office. It's parasites. You'd be amazed. If anybody that's had a health problem, they've been to the Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic and every other clinic, and they come in and they tell me, so I ask them. So people in Florida, especially in Naples, they don't go to Orlando for vacation, just saying. The big thing right now, safaris, Thailand, Cambodia, China, and what happens? They get parasites from the food and the water. I don't eat sushi. Sushi could be an issue. If you grind your teeth at night, chances are you could have parasites. How do you know if you have them? We take a prick of blood from your finger, put it on a microscope. I've been using a microscope since 1995. We see a lot of parasites. Blood sugar instability, I told you that at 3 a.m. If you wake up with a headache in the morning, it could be a low thyroid. If you wake up in the morning and you're not hungry, it's because you're not sleeping good. I'll say that again. If you wake up in the morning and you're not hungry, you're not having restful, peaceful sleep, because you want to wake up and have something to eat. Break the fast. Clinical insight. Repeat night waking reflects hormonal, metabolic stress, not simply insomnia. And I know that a lot of people take, I think the drug is called Ambien, I think. Poor sleep accelerates inflammation, hormone imbalance, and tissue breakdown associated with aging. So sleeping is when your body does the repair. That's why it's so important. Okay, I'm going to talk, because I knew I was going to have a mixed group here today, so I wanted to throw in osteoporosis, because everybody always asks about osteoporosis. And I know a lot of you have been told you had osteopenia. I think the best thing you could do if you have osteoporosis is make sure you're exercising. You're going to want to have some physiologic stress on those bones. So high cortisol leaches calcium from bones. So I know that a lot of ladies, especially ladies that are in my life, they're very organized, they're doing everything, and they've done that. A lot of you were executives and had really important positions. It's stress. Well, stress can take calcium out of your body. And then poor dietary intake. Okay, so you want to eat plants. Cows get their calcium from plants. They don't eat cottage cheese, milk, or ice cream. They eat green food. Green provides calcium and magnesium. As a side note, if you tend to have leg cramps at night, it's a calcium deficiency. Leg cramps at night, it's a calcium deficiency. And I'm going to go way crazy right now and tell you something that I learned a long time ago. I used to get cold sores, fever blisters. It's a virus. I used to get them when we'd come down to Florida and the sun, the vitamin D, would take calcium out of my system. I used to also get them when I had stress, calcium out of the system. So if any of you get fever blisters or cold sores or herpes, it's a calcium issue that's going on inside of your body. And we use calcium lactate or calcium citrate to help that. And I also used to get poison ivy, and the calcium helped take the poison ivy away. Thing I just learned, maybe you've never heard of that before, but I've been doing this a long time, and it's just little things. Clinical takeaway. You want to keep your stress to a minimum, but I know sometimes you can't do that. You want calcium, and you want to be eating greens, and I really think kale is a really good food, by the way, kale. You could steam it, saute it. My wife and I oftentimes will add it to soups. You could do it. You could put it in meatloaf if you want. Kale could go anywhere. It's just a really good helper. Okay, so we're going to switch gears just a little bit. I'm going to take a sip of water here. Are you guys learning a little bit right now? Okay, so let's talk about digestion. This is probably one of the more important things we're going to talk about. What you absorb determines how you age. These are important. Proteins, minerals, and iron must be broken down. Labs reveal early digestive decline. So this is a statement that I picked up doing all the study for this. You ready for this? Normal on your blood test is not optimal. I like that. Normal is not optimal. So what might be normal for one person might not necessarily be normal for another person. So I look at the whole spectrum when it comes to labs. So in my practice, we look at labs pathologically and physiologically. Now, smelly gas, incomplete digestion. I remember when I was a kid, they used to talk about being silent but deadly. Those people were having digestive distress. Now, I want you to look at so the whole purpose of myself today is to teach you things, to go home, pull out your labs that you were told that you were normal, and I want you to start looking at some numbers now. I want you to look at your globulin level. And we're going to have another slide with that. If your globulin level is low, you more than likely are not absorbing your proteins well. And this is important here because I have so many individuals that tell me that they're bloated. I just feel like I'm bloated, Dr. Bob. What is going on inside of me? So I'm going to give you a little bit of Dr. Bob golden nugget here. Bloating is low stomach acid or enzymes, but this is important. Poor digestion is impacted by liver congestion. And you don't hear this word very much. Biliary stasis. That means slow-moving bile. Here's the magic right there. Every day I eat a half a red apple. A half a red apple helps thin bile. Someone's going to say, why not a whole apple, right? Because a whole apple has 22 grams of sugar in it. And when I was doing my license in Florida is chiropractic, but I also have a Doctor of Natural Health degree. When I was doing my studies for the natural health degree, I had to read a lot of books. And I can tell you that in the book it talked about Granny Smith. Nothing against Granny Smith. It stagnates digestion. You want to eat a red apple. I prefer Honeycrisp. And if you really want to go cool, throw some Celtic sea salt on it and or almond butter with your apple, not peanut butter. Peanut butter has mold on it, and mold can cause yeast issues, but I'm not talking about that today at all. Okay, so most importantly, digestion enables ferritin, thyroid, protein for nitric oxide, and it feeds the microbiome, which is your gut. Poor digestion, nutrients are at risk of not being absorbed. So it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that you can look at yourself, okay? This is really important for everybody, your globulin level. So look at your lab test. It might have protein on it, and it might have albumin on it, but it might not have globulin. Albumin from protein is globulin. You want to be at least 2.7. If it's 2.3, it's okay. If you're below 1.9, you're going to have immune problems because you're not absorbing proteins in your body. I wanted to put this in here also for you. Elevated albumin. Albumin suggests that you're dehydrated. And if you're dehydrated, you're going to have thick blood. And you don't want thick blood. And this is another marker for you. Low carbon dioxide on your blood test could indicate you need B vitamins. So you could look at your own blood test because people say, well, Dr. Bob, I want you to tell me what vitamins I need. You know what? You have it almost right in front of you. You can just look at your own blood test. So carbon dioxide, thiamine. I don't have this in my notes, but if your liver enzymes, it's ALT, AST. If those are low, you need B6. B6 helps trigger fingers. If you have a trigger finger, B6 will help that. It's amazing, all these little nuggets, isn't it? So, a proton pump inhibitor, it suppresses stomach acid, increases the risk of deficiencies. Probably one of the most challenging things that I work with are people who are on digestive drugs. Now, I'm not here to tell anybody to go off your drugs, but you have to look at your liver and your gallbladder, which I'm going to show you in a minute, because if your liver is larger, you might have thick, pasty bile. You might not have enough bile being secreted so the food is coming down. You might not have enough digestive enzymes. A lot of times, you don't realize that your stomach is a compost pile. And if you're, I'm going to talk about food combining in a minute. If you're combining your food wrong, and you have this compost pile is making acid. That's acid indigestion. But what you really need is watch how you're combining your food and a digestive enzyme so you can complete the process properly. I know that seems simple and complicated, but at the same time, not to scare anybody, but proton pump inhibitors over time will diminish your B12. And you don't want diminished B12 because B12 is important to make red blood cells. It's important for your mental acuity. So poor digestion, nutritional deficiencies, oxygen delivery, right here, neuropathy risk, and reduce brain resilience. So, I mean, you could have issues with dementia because of a lifetime of poor digestion. I don't want to say proton pump inhibitors because I don't want anybody to get mad at me. But do you understand where I'm coming from? This is a big, big puzzle, and I'm trying to give you lots of different pieces. Okay, food combining. A long time ago, a guy by the name of Harvey Diamond, Harvey and Marilyn Diamond. Does anybody remember that name? This is back from the 1980s. They wrote a book, Fit for Life. My wife will tell you that that book, my kids were so upset because that's when we started really making the changes. This is a really important slide for all of you because some of you might be combining your food wrong. So here's, okay, so I'm saying this in love. I don't eat fruit. I eat a half apple a day. I don't eat any other fruit. I eat vegetables and protein. Fruit, as a side note, so I used to teach human biology lab dissection. Your pancreas embryologically starts right here. It moves to here. In 1987, I learned that the pancreas referred pain to the left neck and mid-back. Most of you, if you have left neck and mid-back pain, stop eating bananas, raisins, grapes, yogurt, and ice cream for 1 month, and then go to Royal Scoop, order a banana split, extra sprinkles and chocolate, and I'll guarantee you the next day your left neck and mid-back will hurt. You can say, why? Because it's a pancreas referral. So I have a degree in spinal engineering. The pancreas can cause your mid-back vertebra to go out of alignment because of the way that the nerves are set up in the body. It's a whole other class. We're not talking about that today, but I just kind of sensed that someone needed to hear that. So you want to do minimal water when you're eating. You drink your water before, you drink it after, because water is going to dilute the enzymes in your stomach. So watch this. Protein and fruit, protein and starch, not good, because it throws off the physiology. If you're going to eat protein, you have it with vegetables, veggies with grains. Does that make sense to you? So like really, mashed potatoes and steak are an issue. A hamburger, really, if you think about it, you're better off just to eat the burger than you are. Yes, ma'am?
I understand protein and fruit together are not a good combo, but the bottom two are good combos, including veggies plus grains.
Yeah. See those check marks? This is good right here. This is not good. This is good. They probably should have put a circle on that one. I guess I just missed that. Okay, does everybody see that? That could change someone's life today just from this slide alone. Because if you always have, in Italian we call it agita. If you always have agita, then look at your food combining. Okay, so we're going to talk about a fatty liver right now, and I just wanted to put that in at this point because I want to show you something right here. This is actually an x-ray from my office. Do you see that right here? Those are gallbladder clips. That woman had her gallbladder out. What I have learned, and this was from the American Heart Association in 2011, if your triglycerides are up, chances are, and if you're eating a lot of fruit, fruit can cause a fatty liver. Just throwing that out to you. So the best way to find out if you have a fatty liver, you get an x-ray. So this person's liver was down to here. I was going to show the after, but we got that liver to shrink because her gallbladder clips moved up. So excessive glucose is converted to triglycerides in the liver. So if you're eating too much sugar, your liver doesn't know what to do with it. This throws it out as triglycerides. Triglycerides block vascular oxygen flow. I have a better slide. I threw this information in here too. Varicose veins, spider veins, and hemorrhoids are a body signal that you have a congested liver. So the blood flows up through your liver on the way to your heart. And if your liver is plugged up, because a lot of people, I've had people have hemorrhoidectomies, they usually have varicose veins and spider veins. It's a liver issue, and you can help the liver improve over time. Okay, so excessive glucose converts to triglycerides in the liver. Triglycerides obstruct vascular flow, but whoever had their gallbladder out, I'm circling, this is like another really important bullet point for you. We use bovine bile. You can buy bile anywhere you want. You can go to Whole Foods, you get it from anywhere. But if you have had your gallbladder out, you want to start adding bile salts to your diet, especially when you eat fat or animal protein. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is you can't emulsify the fat. So let me tell you a story. Here's the story. Let's say you're going to make chicken, and you're done making your chicken, you go to wash your hands. And so I have a touchless faucet because of chicken. So the water comes out, but then you still have the grease on your hand. Have you ever noticed that? Even when you wash it with water, but what do you have to do? You have to get your magic detergent. You put a tab of detergent on your skin. It emulsifies the fat. That's really important. It emulsifies the fat. Bile is your detergent. Your liver makes your detergent. You eat a half an apple a day, so you have the detergent can come out of your body. So when I'm sharing all these things with you, I'm 70 plus years old. I still have all of my parts. I don't take any medication. This is 70-year-old skin. It's because of things that I have done. So I've been eating apple, beets, and carrots for years. So let me stop this for a moment. It's Dr. Bob's ABCs. I'm going to empower you all now. You want to eat a half a red apple every day. You can say, what do you do with the other half? Well, you give it to your mate, or you save it the next day. We have beets every day of our life. Let me tell you how you make beets. It's really easy. You go and you buy them, you peel them, you cut them up, and you put them in the baking dish. You put olive oil on them. How much olive oil? Watch. That much olive oil, Celtic sea salt, balsamic vinegar, water, put in the oven, 350 degrees. They come out. If this is the first time beet eaters, you start eating your beets, your poop will look red. You go, oh my God, what's going on? I better go get a colonoscopy. No, what's happening is your liver is just kind of doing its job. So what I'm going to share with you now, I have seen is miraculous. I want you to start eating a medium organic carrot every day of your life. Because guess what? I don't have macular degeneration. My retina is okay. I don't have cataracts. I have healthy skin because the carrot is a precursor to vitamin A. Your liver is the storehouse of vitamins A, D, E, and K. So everything I'm doing is for my liver. Radish. I eat at least 2 radishes every day. Radishes place a demand on the liver and the gallbladder. So in Italian, agita. If you have agita from eggs, onion, sorry, not eggs, scratch, onions, garlic, radishes, and cucumbers. So if you have indigestion from those foods, it's not the food. It's your liver and your gallbladder. It's important because you don't want your gallbladder out. Because people get their gallbladder out have greater chance to have heart issues because they're not breaking down the fat. I know I belabored this a lot, but this is significant, so I got to tell you a story. I had this gentleman, it was 1994, had his gallbladder out. And it was just by the grace of God that I learned this. I saw the chicken wire on his sternum. In other words, he had open heart surgery. So I said, Gary, talk to me a little bit. What happened? Well, I had my gallbladder out. Well, it's obvious. So before 94, they used to sew gallbladders up with a string and a needle. And then after 94, they started using clips. So that window of time, he came in and I saw this. I said, so tell me, how long after you had your heart or your gallbladder out did you have your heart issue? It was 5 years. Now, some of you, maybe it's been a long time and maybe you haven't had an issue, but I'm sharing with you that. Now, since then, they don't do open heart surgery like they used to. They use stents. So if I didn't have that little window of time, I never would have known that to share that information with you today. And that was in 1994. Aren't you glad that I studied back then? So that was important. Okay, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk. So you can buy saliva pH paper on the internet. You could buy a thermometer on the internet. So let's talk about saliva pH. Low saliva pH reflects increased metabolic acid, often parallels poor glucose and insulin stress, associated with what we call sympathetic dominance. We're going to talk about the sympathetic nervous system because I'm getting more people in my practice with high blood pressure and anxiety because their sympathetic nervous systems are keyed up. Changes appear before abnormalities in the blood work. So this saliva pH should be worth your while just to get a container of it and start monitoring your pH. Low saliva pH, your body is producing more acid than it can buffer. Minerals are being pulled from bone and muscle. Digestive efficiency and enzyme activity decline. Watch this. Aging accelerates. You don't want an acid pH. Inflammation and oxidative stress. You've heard that. This is the new buzz. And I'm going to give you the biggest magic bullet of your life that I'm going to share with you that I only learned in the last year. Oxidative stress, excessive free radical damage, tissues and DNA when antioxidant defenses are overwhelmed. And there's something that you could start adding to your life every day that'll totally change and reverse oxidative stress. Saliva. So just go to Amazon and type in pH paper. Nitrazine. Nitrazine is the name of the paper. Nitrazine pH. Okay, here's something else that we do in the office, is we do a lot of food sensitivity testing. So this is kind of scary. I wrote up there, one person's passions, another's poison. You say, what do you mean, Dr. Bob? I'll have some people that their sensitivity is carrots. I'll have somebody else that's avocado. And this is what I'm learning. So let's just say, I'm just having a story right now, that you've been eating some sugar, your immune system's weak, chronic cough, you see your PCP, put you on an antibiotic, you're not feeling, so this is the process. So that upsets your gut biome. I'm sure you've all heard that term, gut biome is being upset, your digestive aspect of your body. So then you have your favorite food that you constantly eat. The average person in this room only eats 12 to 15 different foods. That's it. You eat that day in and day out. They eat the same thing for breakfast, lunch, etc. So what I have found common triggers are eggs, gluten, and dairy. But it could be any food. So we can see if you have a yeast problem. I can see if you have a gut problem. But this right here is the scary one. LPS, that appears when you have gram-negative bacteria in your body. So with a food sensitivity test, we can drill down so deep. I have a little boy that came in that was having a chronic eczema. You never believe what it was. It was citrus. I'm not saying citrus is good or bad, but for him it was citrus. I had somebody else who was having hormonal issues. I have a lady that was ulcerative colitis. She was taking 15 milligrams of some kind of cortisone or something every day, and we have her down to 3. You can say, how? Because we helped her change her diet, and we helped her with a program to improve gut. So this is just something that we do in our practice. Okay, so we're going to switch gears to glucose. Does anybody have any questions? I'm not overwhelming anybody right now too much, am I? Okay, so let's talk about glucose. Blood sugar stability is more important than avoiding sugar. Excessive carbohydrate intake raises triglycerides, impairs oxygen. Over time, reduced oxygen damages nerves and brain, making diabetes a major gateway to neuropathy and cognitive decline. So I just shared with you why my mom had Alzheimer's. My mom and my dad, they were raised during the Depression. When you guys were kids, we're all about the same age, some of you a little bit older, a little bit younger, we had that little metal cake pan. Did you have a little like stainless steel and the lid slid on top? There was always cake in that. Did you guys too? I had a Rooster cookie jar. What kind of cookie jar did you have? There was always cookies in the cookie jar. And they weren't store-bought. They were cookies my mom made. So my mom loved sugar. Sugar is from the devil. So sugar will throw off a body more than anything else possible. Okay, so what happens, you have triglycerides. You don't think about this, but if your triglycerides and your blood tests are elevated, you're going to have an issue that your red blood cells are competing. I mean, it's a tube. And if that tube has a lot of fat in it, where's the red blood cells going to go? I mean, if you really start thinking about that. So just getting off of sugar, because see, when you have sugar and it increases the insulin, you're going to have inflammation. And we see a lot of diabetic neuropathies in the office than just neuropathy in general. And a part of our care is to increase the nitric oxide. So exercise. Exercise is important. We're so blessed to have this wonderful equipment here, but you don't even need the equipment. You can go for a walk. You can get some weights at home. You can get some bands. You can ride your bicycle. You just want to have exercise because it enhances the disposal of blood sugar, glucose. It'll boost your resting metabolic rate, and it definitely will help prevent dementia and neuropathy. So nice patients come in, they have neuropathy. Neuropathy is like having Alzheimer's in your feet is what it is. Basically, if somebody has neuropathy, they're going to get a dementia issue at one point. It's the same system, it just hits a different part first. So regular exercise is crucial for controlling blood sugar and preventing diabetes complications. Now, this is like the new buzz, a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor. The nice thing is with our society today, back when I was a kid, when you guys were kids, I'd go to the hardware store. You go to the store, and there was a guy there. What do you want? I need a light bulb. He went in the back and got the bulb. I was so excited when Home Depot and Lowe's showed up because you can go buy it yourself. Well, today, you can get a continuous glucose monitor. You say, we talked about why want to do that for? You want to do it for 1 month. It'll cost you about $49. You can get it on Amazon. You put it on the back of your arm. It'll connect to your phone. And this, see, every one of you in this room is different. So I can't tell this gentleman to do that, and her to do that, and her to do that, because they all have different bodies. But if you put this CGM, continuous glucose monitor, on the back of your arm, and let's say that you have a piece of pizza, you just learned pizza is an issue. So I have a patient of mine who's an attorney. And I just convinced him, do this. He goes, Dr. Bob, I can't believe it. So what? The bottom line was he was eating chocolate every night. So the chocolate impacted his blood sugar. Because somebody's going to say, isn't chocolate good for you? I'm not saying that. His problem was accelerated because he had chocolate every night. He also had high blood sugar because of stress. Now, I have a patient in Ohio that his blood sugar would also go up with, let me just be straight with you. Pizza and pasta are the worst for your blood sugar. Pizza and pasta. You have zucchini pasta, twirl that. So I said to him, okay, so talk to me a little bit about what goes on. He goes, when I cut the grass and take a walk, my blood sugar drops. So you're going to say, okay, so what I'm sharing with you, you want to increase your exercise. I ride my bike 15 miles every day. So anyone, you could do whatever you want to do. I mean, I see these people walking up and down Pelican Marsh Boulevard. You want to be active with what you're doing on a regular basis. So this is going to tell you real-time spike patterns. See, this is going to change denial, and that's not a long river in Egypt. Denial is, oh, this is okay. No, it's not okay, because you don't want to become a diabetic, because they will cut your toes off. How exercise improves it. Personalized glucose curve. Insights into hidden insulin resistance. Teaches you to choose food. So what I'm sharing with you, it's simple. You could spend $50 and save you from having to put insulin in your bottom or whatever for the rest of your life. This was worth coming to the workshop just for that. Just do it for a month. Be a great Father's Day present and Mother's Day present. Tell your kids. Okay, now I just wanted to throw this in because zinc is important. Zinc's important for your memory. Zinc is important so you don't have big pores on your face. Zinc's important so you don't have white spots on your nails. But it really is a memory thing, and it's a blood sugar thing. But I wanted to share with you this. You can test how much zinc you have in your body. It's called the zinc taste test. And you can take a picture of this because what we have our patients do is you put a little bit in your mouth, you swish it around, and if I look at you and say, what'd you taste? And he'll go, water. That boy has a zinc deficiency. So if you want to, because I don't think I have a slide on this, there's something on your blood test called alkaline phosphatase. Alkaline phosphatase. It should be 80. If it's less than 80, you may have a zinc deficiency. Pumpkin seeds are a great source of zinc. So these are just some of the responses to people, with the zinc taste test. It's going to taste bitter. It's going to taste like pennies are in your mouth. So this is really important. This is for wound healing. Let's say that you're not healing quick. It could be a sign that you have a zinc deficiency. Large pores on the face also are a zinc deficiency. We're going to talk about posture. So this is changing a whole generation right now. It's screen time, phones. To start looking at these kids and even you as adults. Okay, so your posture is critical. So in my chiropractic career, I know that if you have an alignment issue, that can impact function of your body because the brain sends messages down the cord. Regardless of how you feel philosophically, medicine and chiropractic, the nervous system controls the function of your body. So if you have an alignment, I've seen heart, digestive, constipation, sinus issues go away because of fixing alignment. But posture is really important. So over here in the gym, lay back on a large ball. Do Georgian push-ups. Work on your posture. You could go to Amazon and you could buy something called a figure of 8 brace that pulls your shoulders back. Figure of 8 brace. My wife wears one every day for about 2 hours in the morning. Pulls your shoulders back. You do not want this. And I'm going to show you why right now. This is an MRI. And you can see this person had an abnormal curve in their neck, and their spinal cord was being compromised. This is an MRI. MRI, spinal cord's not being compromised. You don't want your head in a forward position. I rarely see people over 75 years old with their neck going forward with decay because they're dead. They're dead because their spinal cord's been squeezed and they have numbness in their hands because your brain sends messages down the spinal cord. Now watch this. This is called a dental roll. I use this 15 minutes every day. You can say, why do you do that? Like, Dr. Bob, what do you do with your time? So it's just a part of my long-term health regime. I do 4 things at once in the morning, and this happens to be one of the 4 things. I lay back with that foam there like that. I have another tool I put my hand on that increases blood flow, low-level light therapy, so I have this beautiful skin face, and low-level therapy on any joint hurting my body. So I'm doing 4 things at one time. It takes 20 minutes, and that's one of the tools that you could get. Dental roll is the name of it. I'm telling you, this is a great another Mother's Day or Father's Day present, or Valentine's Day. The brand name that I use is called Dental Roll, like dinner roll, but dental roll. But if you were to go to anywhere on the internet and just take a picture of that, and you'll find it. You can get anything on the internet. Okay, does everybody have that all right? Just put neck traction. It's dental roll. It's Denerol. Dental roll. And can I tell you something? They're not cheap. This is amazing. When we first started buying them, they were $20. And then they were $30. And then all of a sudden they decided that wind was better than, and solar was better than petrochemicals. So if you remember years ago, the price of oil, whatever, went up. They charged me $40 for that. Isn't that amazing? And then I have to charge a patient $50 because I got to pay $10 to get it shipped in. So go to Amazon and you can get the shipping for free. Everybody got that? Got it? Okay, here we go. So we're coming close to the whole big picture right now, longevity. I have to congratulate many of you in this room are 80 plus years old. I don't know if there's anybody 90 and above, but you are. Theodore back there, I think he's 94. Okay, so it's habits, guys. It's habits. So I'm going to motivate you all. Water is important. And I'm going to share with you a special water. Movement is important. Sunlight's important because it impacts sleep. It impacts your immune system. I have to tell you another story here. I had a lady who had a chronic bronchitis for years. So we did her blood test. Her vitamin D was 6. It's supposed to be at least 50. And we turned her bronchitis around just with vitamin D. So nitric oxide, we're going to talk about that now. Nitric oxide is your new secret weapon about life. I'm excited to be the one to share this with you. So nitric oxide. So if you don't have nitric oxide, you're going to have inflammation. So read that, what I just, see that right there? Antibacterial mouthwash reduces nitric oxide. It kills bacteria. So be aware of that. You don't need mouthwash. Okay, so nitric oxide relaxes arteries. You're going to live longer if you have enough nitric oxide. And you want to know the cool thing is? I'm going to share with you, you can test your own nitric oxide. Pretty cool idea, huh? Okay, why nitric oxide matters for aging. It softens, if you don't have enough, you're going to have stiff blood vessels. The lining is going to have dysfunction, slow circulation, more inflammation. What does nitric oxide do? It relaxes blood vessels. It improves blood flow to tissues. It allows oxygen to reach the cells. That's what we do with our neuropathy treatment program. We use low-level light therapy to increase the mitochondria, et cetera, to get more oxygen in your body. It reduces vascular stiffness. Now, I put this here because a pulse oximeter doesn't measure nitric oxide. It measures circulating oxygen. But you don't want your tissues under-oxygenated. So I really wanted to just, because some of you are scientific, think you're knowledge kind of people, so I wanted to give you the differentiate between this. A pulse oximeter, because some of you guys might have these at home. Pulse oximeter measures oxygen saturation. It carries oxygen in the bloodstream, keeps cells alive, but doesn't open up the blood vessels. Very important. Pulse oximeters don't measure vascular function. It measures oxygen saturation. Nitric oxide. It signals the molecules made by the endothelial cells, opens arteries. This is real, right here, guys, this is really important. That's why you want to be eating your beets, but I'm going to show you other foods. Requires, and it helps flexible blood vessels. Circulating nitric oxide dilates blood vessels to increase circulation. So pulse oximeter only gives you circulating oxygen. They do not measure the function or flexibility of the blood vessels. Nitric oxide is about your total circulation. Pretty cool, huh? Nitric oxide. Now watch this. This is a picture you want to take. These are the foods where you get your nitric oxide from. That's why I eat beets. If you ever notice, yes, sir. Fresh, like I said for you, is better than canned. If you want to eat canned, if it's better than nothing, I don't have to really evaluate that. Probably what I said is the best. Okay, now, beets. Even on TV, I think Walmart sells little beet gummies now. If Walmart sells beet gummies, there is money in beets, okay? So these are the foods. Now, like I said, some of you could have stone issues, so this is just like just in general for everybody. I don't promote chocolate. You know, you might say, well, Dr. Bob, you put that there. I'm just throwing that out, giving you all your chances. But this is the kind of food that I eat, by the way. I don't eat watermelon. I'll do the celery, of course. I stopped eating sunflower seeds because of the sunflower oil. But all the rest of the stuff that I will eat, I don't do a lot of lentils. But I wanted to give you a variety of foods that you might like to have. This is really a very important slide, okay? Because you want nitric oxide in your body. Okay, this is it. Take a picture. Everybody needs to buy one of these. Go to Amazon. About $25. You get about 25 of them. And you can measure the nitric oxide in your body. So by the time you leave here today, you can spend like $200. You'll be your own self-administering clinician. Isn't that great? Nitric oxide indicator strips provide a straightforward method to assess if you're obtaining adequate essential dietary nitrate from your diet. These non-invasive strips offer instant, easy to read, and then I have seen people have none. But this is important. Low nitric oxide is often seen in peripheral neuropathy, dementia, and Alzheimer's. Now, I'm not going to try to scare anybody, but if you go home and it says 0, I'm sure you're going to still wake up tomorrow remembering your name. But you're going to go to Whole Foods, you're going to buy some beets, and you're going to start eating some of that food. Why? Because next year when I do this program again, we're going to see who's here and who's not here. I'm just being straight. That's part of my success. Everybody get that? Okay. Without nitric oxide, poor oxygen. Oxygen remains in the bloodstream instead of reaching the tissues. Cells are under-oxygenated. You can have breathing, no energy. This is the big one right here, mitochondria. Mitochondria are the energy makers. Slow healing. Like some of you maybe get a cut and it doesn't want to heal. Accelerated aging. We're going to slow that down. We want to slow that down. It looks like I had that there twice, but I guess I'm making a point. You're going to have accelerated aging if you don't have enough nitric oxide in your body. Good? So this is a picture, because I've seen it happen. This is before and after with a thermographic camera. That we can change. We can change. Everything I'm telling you, I've seen. And I've touched almost 700,000 people in my career. I have seen this happen. You have numbness, burning, reduced temperature, low sensory responsiveness, sensations, restored warmer temperature, improved nerve. Significant improvement. Okay, now, this is something I just recently learned about in September. I never heard this before. So I am sharing with you hot off the press stuff. It's hydrogenated, or depending if you come from north or south of the Mason-Dixon line, hydrogenated or hydrogenated, water. Let me just talk to you about this, okay? It reduces oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is basically rust in your body. Supports and protects the mitochondria. supports cellular energy, supports the immune, helps regulate inflammation, improves recovery and resilience, enhances muscle recovery tissue, supports metabolic efficiency. Key, longevity. Hydrogen water does not stimulate the body. It protects it. Protection allows physiology to function normally. Are you ready? I did a lot of research on this. I spent a lot of money ordering from Amazon. The equipment didn't work. Shipped it back. Got another one. So I finally got the most cost-effective tool. And I bought it on Prime Day. It was only $29. I think they're $39 now. But any one of you can pay $40 on Amazon to get the tool. It's next slide. Okay, so this is what hydrogen-weighted water does. It neutralizes free radicals. It preserves your mitochondria. It lowers inflammation. So nitric oxide causes increased blood flow, supports brain, heart, and vascular health, increases energy. So hydrogen water protects cells. Nitrogen oxide delivers oxygen to cells. So if you had just added these two things to your life, more nitric oxide foods, and this is what I did. You really want to take a picture of this, because this is the one I have right here. So let me tell you a story, because they have Amazon reviews, and sometimes I think that these people review their own. So the first one of these that I looked at, it was supposed to make like 3,000 parts per billion of hydrogen in the water. So I thought, whoo, I'm going to buy that one. So I brought it home, and I thought, okay, I got to test this bad boy. You see that right here? I bought a tester. I was going to test to see if it was true, and guess what? It wasn't. So I shipped it back. So you see what it says? So this is just so exciting. So regular water has no hydrogen in it, because I tested it. There's no hydrogen. You can say, well, it's H2O. So I'm not a physiology, biochemistry major. There's no hydrogen in the water that's going to make a difference in your body. It's free hydrogen. Thank you. You got that? So this is important. So the one that I have here, that's mine. That's a picture from my house. 1470. That's the highest I was able to get out of that. Okay, so regular tap water, there was none. Measured hydrogen, I got it up to over 1,400. Baseline water is 0, 1,400. Hydrogen concentrations increase with repeated or extended cycles. Why hydrogen matters? Molecular hydrogen is a selective antioxidant. Gets rid of oxidation. Neutralizes free radicals. Hello, thank you, Jesus. It's going to help stop and prevent cancer. I didn't say that. Neutralizes free radicals. Rapidly diffuses mitochondria, brain tissue. Clinical bottom line. If it doesn't measure hydrogen, it doesn't deliver hydrogen. So you're going to say, are you saying that tap water or filtered water doesn't have hydrogen in it? Buy a tester. Try it yourself. I mean, I did a lot of studies on this, so I'm telling you myself, regular tap water has no free hydrogen in it. Is that pretty cool? This is worth the trip just for that.
What's the name of that?
You know? Just go and look up hydrogen water and look for the one that's $39.
Unless it went up.
Unless it went up. Because I tried to put it on there, but I just didn't. Anyways.
What's the thing you use to measure it?
That's right there. It's a water tester. Look at this. It even has the name on it yet. ZT like OCH. That was like $30. So I was measuring everything. I was doing hot water, cold water, water from my refrigerator, water from my frizzle, tap water. I think my wife thought I was going crazy. You know what? I'm sure that it doesn't. So I didn't put a slide on this, but this is what I also learned. They have another measuring device on here that you can see how much it protects your body, how much it eliminates the negative effect, but I thought it'd be a little bit too much for everybody. Don't take that personal. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the road. These are Dr. Bob's golden nuggets, my clinical pearls. So I'm going to give you some life-changing tips right now. You ready? Say yes?
Yes.
Here you go. We're going to talk about cholesterol, because a lot of you guys are on cholesterol drugs. I'm not telling anybody to go off their cholesterol meds. I'm not telling anybody not to see their physician anymore, but this is what I've learned. Cortisol, in a good percentage of you, is your cholesterol's up because of stress. LDL increases with inflammation. HDL cools down the inflammation. I have seen HDL increase by adding chromium to your life. Chromium helps manage the blood sugar issue. HDL good, chromium will help raise it. LDL, not that LDL is bad. If your LDL is elevated, it means you have an inflammatory state going on in your body. That's what that tells me. So I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I do know that if your LDL is elevated, you probably have inflammation. Is that good? Did everybody get that? Stress and sugar drive cholesterol. I don't think it's diet. Okay, let's talk about high blood pressure. I know some of you are on metoprolol, lisinopril, and Lord knows whatever else. So causes for high blood pressure. Excessive body weight causes vascular resistance. I don't know how many of you drink enough water, but a couple things you should have learned from me today. You want to make sure you're drinking enough water. You could be eating inflammatory foods, sugar, mineral imbalance, magnesium and potassium. That's why you want to be eating greens. What I'm seeing more than ever, stress-driven blood pressure. Chronic stress, adrenal, fight or flight. Elevated cortisol, adrenaline, increased heart rate, blood vessels constrict, pressure rises, anxiety. And I think that it's just common today with what's going on in the world, what's going on with the economics, just what's going on. Common triggers, financial, personal and marital, children, aging parents, which you guys could be stressed to some of your kids, global uncertainty. That was a joke, by the way. Okay, so here's the next thing, the new buzz. You ready for the new buzz? It's vagal exercises. How many of you have heard of vagal exercises? Okay, a few of you. This is going to be a nice picture I'm going to give for you right now. Aren't you glad I did all this research for you? Vagal exercises to calm and balance your body. Vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve. Vagal maneuvers balance the nervous system. Reduce the sympathetic. It's like when you're really going 100% all the time, it's your sympathetic nervous system. Okay, deep breathing, slow, full belly breathing, gargling, cold exposure. When you see these athletes in this cold water, it's kind of crazy. Well, one that I should have put on here was humming. Humming is the easiest. Got it? Humming, it's easy. Not gargling. I was like, oh, but I had to just throw stuff out there. And then aim for a positive emotional state while singing or humming. 2 minutes. Massage is good too. Okay, the vagus nerves, because I wanted to give you, I wanted to make sure I have some real cool research here for you. The vagus nerve controls the parasympathetic nervous system. Rest and digest. Regulating heart rate, digestion, respiratory function, primarily through something called acetylcholine to reduce inflammation. The vagus nerve is the autonomic nervous system. It's connected to the gut. That's why you get anxiety, you get butterflies in your gut. It's from the vagus, heart, respiratory tract. And signals from the vagus nerve promote a state of healthy relaxing by counteract the stress response. Because we all have stress. Some people have more than others, or some deal with it more. And you probably deal with stress better if you've been watching what you're eating and following some of the rules. Okay. Now, this is scary. Non-potable water. I'm just going to throw this out to you. When I ride my bike in the morning, I wear an ionizer. I wear an ionizer because the mist from the water has stuff in it. And an ionizer zaps it. And I can tell you, because I've done studies on this, see where it says here? This is a non-potable water. If you have a chronic cough that's not going away, when you're riding your bike, like I'll go up on the sidewalk, I just not want that mist in my body. So just thought you'd like to know that. Non-potable, unsafe for human consumption. So if you ever see that and you're walking around hanging out, I can only tell you that I haven't seen the brass ones around our community lately.
You haven't seen the what?
Just saying.
Oh, they're removing them.
I didn't say that. Okay. So, I think this is almost my last one. So I'm letting you guys be your own healthcare provider. Get some urine sticks. If you're not feeling good, do a mid-morning stream, pee a little bit, stop, put it in a container, and dip it. So you can check your blood sugar, ketones, protein, bilirubin, if it's elevated, liver, gallbladder. You don't want nitrates or nitrite in your blood or in your urine because that usually means you have a gram-negative bacterial infection. I did this for you ladies. You don't want that in your urine. Now, if you have any of these, obviously you're going to want to talk to your primary health care provider. I have to put that down as a disclaimer, right? So guess what? February 20th, the drugless approach to balancing human hormones. So next month when I'm back, we're going to do it for men and women. Isn't that cool? And then did everybody get that? That's next month. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop this recording.